Having played too many RPGs to count, from Pokemon to the original Diablo to Divinity, I wanted to make my own. Starting with 2D, back to the classic style RPG, top down. All the assets I use are free. They're Creative Commons 0. All of the code in that is posted in the description. And let's walk through step by step building a really awesome, fun dungeon crawling style RPG. And here we are in Unity. So let's first make sure to select 2D and let's pick a project name. I'm very creative with naming. I am lying. Sure, RPG dungeon video sounds good. Awesome. And Unity. All right, let's full size, check out the camera here. This is looking good. Make sure you have it set to 16 by 9 is going to be what we want today. And then let's think about assets. I want to get some of my sprites in here. I think I have them hid. Yep. Perfect. So here they are. All of these assets, keep in mind, are public domain or CC0. They are free to use. I'm sharing them in the description. So check out the description for access to all of the assets. I have not just the tile set, but also some fonts and some sprites. I'm going to hit fast forward on me importing these sprites, but keep in mind it will take some time, but they are really worth it. And with those all imported, to give you a bit of a time frame, that took me about 12 minutes on my computer, and I like to think it's fast, so just a bit of a reference. I want to show you where I got those. Keep in mind they're linked in the description, and all the assets I use are in the public domain or CC0. So I Googled dungeon crawler tiles, I think. All of them are on opengameart.org. So the first set was the dungeon crawler stone soup, and then this one I was Googling characters and zombies, CC0. This popped up. This is an excellent set. I actually edited these in GIMP, which it allows you to check and uncheck boxes to create your own characters and then export them as PNGs. It's really great stuff. And then zombie RPG sprites. This was the first thing to pop up. These, you might notice, were actually done by this same person, also CC0. So that is how you can access them yourself. But again, I link all of the assets in the description. With that set up, I'm gonna hide that guy and let's open this. All right, let's just make sure scenes, yep, and we got main camera. We are good to go there. Let's go ahead and build a tile palette. To do that, I'm gonna make a new folder, assets, create, folder, tile, sets. I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna call this first one just dungeon is great. And then I need to go window, 2D tile palette, and here we are. Now I'm going to dock this over here for now to view, and we're going to need to drag in the tiles we want on our palette. Bases. These are my other assets. Fonts. I'm going to take fonts actually and drop it out here. Bases, other assets. And click. Yeah, these are basically sprites. So I'm going to rename this people, I guess. And then I'm going to drop it in the sprites folder. And then we can get rid of this dungeon, other assets. Dungeon, yeah, I got everything out of there. All right, and then dungeon crawler. Keep in mind, if you would like to instead, you could use this and cut it all up in the sprite editor. I just found that took significantly longer than using the pre-cut up stuff and importing them. So here's our palette. Let's do create new palette. And like I said, I'm going to call it dungeon. And let's start with, well, the dungeon and the floor. Seems logical to me. I'm going to go ahead and do a search. You got to be super careful with searching though. So I'll do rock. Make sure you do sprite. Okay. Otherwise it gets really messed up and you'll add stuff that breaks your palette. So sprite, I'm going to click here. I'm going to actually select all of those and go ahead and drag them in as our first blocks. And tile sets, dungeon, select folder. Boom, and we have 4 blocks. All right, what else do I want? Well, I want a pathway, I know. So cobble, I believe, stone. Yes. Oh, and there's a few options. Let's see what's going on. Oh, they have new, and then they have old. Okay, well, that is fine. I'm just going to take a chunk of these. I don't need them all. 5, the first 5, or the first 10, I guess, and drop. Great, we have a tile set, slowly but surely. And then I need wall. Not quite. All right, so let's go hit X here, and let's go dungeon. And you can kind of take your pick. I'm liking this one right here. I'm holding shift, selecting all, and just going to drag and drop. There we are. And then we will want a few statues as well, just to make the place a bit more interesting. Ooh, iron. That guy looks kind of scary. An orb? Sure. And I'm just going to grab, I don't know, these 6. Ooh, is that a dragon? Okay, I'm grabbing all the way to here, I lied. And drag and drop. Awesome. So this is great. This will be enough to get us started. Well, let's look for one more. Let's do some dirt. And then I'll just grab this chunk here. Sure. This chunk here. And drop it. And tile sets. Dungeon. Select. All right. Perfect. And if you want some fancy stuff, lava or whatnot, you can always search for that as well. This will get us going on our first level though. So I'm going to do create tile map and drop it down. And we have a tile map. I'm going to go ahead and rename this ground or dirt. Something of that nature would be good as well. And then if we grab a tile, you will notice though, I have my paintbrush. It is itty bitty, teeny tiny, which is, well, shockingly not what we want. So to rectify this, to fix it, now if you used the big picture and you cut it all up, you can just change the pixel size to 32 by 30 to 32. That's not what I did though. What I'm going to do instead is go to grid and go to the inspect and cell size. I'm going to set this to 0.3, 0.3. And now if I go back to ground and my tile palette, grab a tile, it will fit right in. So with that, I'm going to grab some of my dirt. I'm going to use this tool. I'm going to grab a whole line of it and make a bunch of dirt. Boom. And if you do not want these patterns, if you're not a fan of that, the great thing about our tile editor is I can go into, let's do a paintbrush. Let's go into edit. And I can make a different type of pattern. I can turn it with the square bracket like this, right? I can also flip it, mirror it with shift square bracket and keep rotating it to get a unique pattern. And then I'm going to get out of edit mode and actually select some of this. Go back in. Maybe I'll rotate it. Maybe I'll mirror it. And you get the idea. So now I can grab this. And with this chunk grabbed, with this whole thing grabbed, I'm going to be on this mode. I need to go into scene. And I'll go way out here. And check it out. And there's much less or maybe not any of a pattern. And that will be perfect for the ground. To do a little bit of cleanup, I'm just going to do something like this. Grab my eraser and square bracket to turn. Beautiful. All right, now we want another layer. And on this layer, we're going to make cobblestone. So let's go ahead on our grid. I'm going to click, I'm going to right click. We could also do game object, 2D object, tile map, and this is going to be called path. Now on path, I'm going to add, well, the path. Shocking. So to do that, I'm going to be using cobblestone, and let's see what this looks like. Nah, it's going to have too many stripes. So same deal here. I'm going to grab this. Actually, I'm going to grab this. I'm going to go into edit. I'm going to stamp it down something like that. Maybe I will do a turn on it like that, and then get out of edit. I'm going to grab this, go into edit, like here. Maybe I'll turn it once, and then maybe I'll turn again and mirror. And so this is what I'll be using for my path. Let me get out of edit. I'm going to highlight all of it. I'm thinking of having some form of path here. Oh yeah, liking this. Let me add one more to it. Great. Just close that tab. And yeah, that will be perfect for our pathway. So actually, that's gonna be it for that layer, this level, I guess. And then 2D tile map, and I'll name this wall. And these are actually gonna have a object collider with them. So let me head over to tile palette. This is gonna be the wall tile. So like I have been doing, I'm gonna go into edit here, probably gonna drag it out some. I'm gonna get out of edit. I'll grab this and stamp this around some, maybe turn it, maybe use shift and square bracket to make it even more mixed. And so that's looking good to me. So now I'm just gonna hop out of edit mode, select the material I want, make sure I'm in wall. Notice active tile set is wall, which is great. That's where we want to be. And I'm going to surround the level with this wall. It's going to be the border to the level. And so we're going to have a rock all around to keep the player in. I'm going to put a little bit back here just to block the player in because we will be using a collider, but this is also going to be the level entrance. And now we do want some spaces or rooms in this level. This is perfect for what we need. And then I'm also going to put a bit of a building back here. So we need these walls for that. We can also throw in a few statues, these smaller ones, maybe to throw off the player even. But let's look at their size. Yeah, they'll be really small. Look how tiny it is. So if you do want to do this, add a statue, I'm going to Control Z. We could have an inspect, I'm on wall, done scale 4, and then I could add something huge, but I would need to redo the tiles that I've already done. So keep that in mind. Okay. But I do want to do some walls. I am regretting somewhat that I didn't choose bigger stone. Thankfully, that's pretty easy to fix. Yes, that is definitely more clearly brick. I'm stamping some down like this to give it a better or a more random appearance. Definitely. And we're going to put a door right there. That's awesome. So we have our level built. Now it's going to be ready for the zombies and the hero. And now with the level built out, it's time to add some sprites. So I'm going to go ahead and, I click on my sprites folder here. People, again, all of these are in the description and they're Creative Commons. And I'm going to pick a character. Ooh, I get options. Yep, definitely think I have to go with this dude. So I'm going to go ahead and click, and then let's split up the sheet. Multiple, sprite editor, oh yeah, apply. And slice. 3 columns, 4 rows. And there we are. And let's see. I'm going to go ahead and add this center one because it looks like I can see both shoes in it as my sprite. Look how little. All right, I'm going to make this considerably larger. Let's see how this is looking. Yeah, probably a 3 for this tutorial, and then I'm going to name it player. And perfect. Let's go ahead and add some tags now. Oh, and they already have a player. So actually, we can leave that as is. Let's add some sorting layers, though. Sorting layer, we need a... Let's just do an objects. And then let's do enemy. Let's do weapon and player. Great. Head back over to player. Okay. And first things first, let's make our player move. To do that, we will need a script. So let's go into assets, create folder. Some people call it code, some people call it scripts. I stick to scripts, even though that's a lot of S's here. And click here. And I'm going to go ahead and create C# script. And I'm just going to call this player script. To get it attached to our player, let me click on our player here. And drag over my script. And just like that, we have it attached. Let's go open this. Perfect. And now for this player movement, let me actually make this much bigger. For this player movement, we are going to do it in a way that we can use update and not fixed update. Let's first get the variables and I'll talk about it. Okay, so all I have is a float for horizontal, float for vertical, and then rigid body. We should add a rigid body to our player. Let me just shrink this down some, and while I'm at it, choop, and choop. So player, rigid body 2D. That's fine. We don't need angular drag. We don't need gravity. And we're going to want continuous eventually, so let's just set that. Now we have a rigid body, so what we can do here and with that set, inside of update itself, we can use horizontal and vertical input get access raw. What that is doing is, well, it's getting that raw access, and it's going to be between -1 and 1. Automatically, the arrow keys are going to impact that, and Unity itself will adjust it. So oftentimes with movement, you do want to keep it in a fixed update function because it runs at a regular time. That's not a concern when using movement of this kind, when using get access raw. I'll show you what I mean. And then now is where we add the impact on the rigid body. And again, we can put it right in update. We should add a speed. Thought I was forgetting something. Boom. And there we are. That should actually be all we need for movement. Let's make sure to save this. And now let's test it out. Well, before we test it out, apparently I didn't set this up. So make sure, let's see, this will be sorting layer 1 for our path. And for the wall, I'm going to put it on a sorting layer of 2. And ground will remain at 0. That is great. And what's the code going to impact most? You'll notice that for the speed, which I'm going to set to be 4.0 float, it's going to be the one that's actually going to move this based on the vertical and horizontal changes with the keyboard. So let's save that and now actually try it out. And there we are. So like I was saying with the speed, you can increase or decrease movement. All right, the next step in our game making process is to make it so the character can't do this. Wow, I disappeared. I walked off the screen. I walked through walls. We want to be powerful, but that's a smidge too powerful. To do that, we need to go to wall, and we're going to add a collider to a tile map. Now, there's actually 2 colliders you have to do here, so it gets a bit complicated. And collider. The first one is shockingly a tile map collider, and the second one is going to be a composite collider. Okay, and that's what's going to merge. So first our And it will also add a rigid body. That is fine. When it does that, just put it on static. The composite collider adds this. Now, our first collider, this, is going to, not a trigger, is going to be used, but we want used by composite. Let's go over to scene, right? So if you'll, before it's all these individually, that becomes a problem. So we say used by composite, which is this thing, and it tries to combine them, and it certainly doesn't do so perfectly. Notice that not all are a single unit. And how we can fix that is vertex distance. So it is by no means a perfect science. You'll see these areas. I might be able to fix those by changing offset. Okay, and it looks like 0.02 is where I am liking that. And again, it's by no means a perfect science. If I get really close, it's slightly off the wall in some point, and that's fine for me. You could also just do vertex distance to solve that, but I like it as is. So now that with that in place, my character should be able to run into walls once we add a collider on them. So right now I have a rigid body, and I'm going to use a, collider, 2D box collider on my character. That worked out well. Let's see. And what's this look like? I want it more tightly. I'm actually wanting it slightly inside of the character because I might use this as a hitbox. And this is looking good. So now with that, let's just make sure dynamic, continuous, start awake, box collider. We are good to go. Let's hit play. Oh no, I hit the wall. Boom. We're not going to want to spin around so much, and maybe I need to make it a bit bigger so I don't hang over a wall, apparently. Boom. Okay. Let's go ahead to not spin. I'm going to make it so this character is frozen on the Z rotation. And now we have some of the foundational stuff done. Player, movement, a scene that has a tile map with colliders. We are ready to rock. And the next part of this series, I'm going to go into, adding an enemy, making our sword work, making all of that happen, making the game a game. Make sure to hit like, make sure to subscribe. It gives me warm fuzzies and makes the world awesome. Also, if you have a comment, a joke, a thing to brag about because your game is amazing, you should definitely do so below.